Well, I mean, this is my first Moms of Real Estate Live, which is a series that we're going to be doing every couple of weeks. And I couldn't have thought of anybody better to start this whole series with than you because we have so much overlap. And also, we have, between the $1 million listing appearances for you, and then there's also just New York City overlap, and then just being moms and doing it all and being in luxury real estate in Manhattan and having a good sense of humor about all of it. I just couldn't have thought of anybody better to start this up with than you. And I just, we wanted to talk about, you've been in luxury real estate for a long time in Manhattan. And I know you probably also do some stuff in other boroughs. And I'd love to just hear, and we'd all love to hear kind of your tips and just any reflections, about all of it.
Absolutely. I think that, when you first get started in real estate, I think it's harder to just, I'm going to do luxury real estate. And it's a fun because, of course, everyone wants to sell the $20 million, the $15 million home. But in the beginning, it's like, for me at least, I would love for everyone to realize that whatever side of real estate you're selling at the very beginning of your career is phenomenal. You should just close that out and you will start kind of going into the flow. And the very key thing for me, Kirsten, was that I always wanted to do sales. I started doing rentals. I was 24 years old. It was exactly 20 years ago. And I told them, and I started doing rentals. And I said, I'm not really feeling like this is productive. I was a kid at the time. And I didn't feel like that was like the best use of my time. But I started doing luxury rentals. And what happens is when you're referred a big rental client, what people don't realize sometimes, and you may be, by the way, if you guys are watching and you don't really have rentals where you are, it's more like a sales community and you're hustling and you're doing things for 500,000. Please only take this in a proper light. I was so happy when my $5,000 rental converted into a $1.2 million pre-sale in Gramercy Park. And I was just so thrilled. And it was such a blessing for me in 2006. I was like, wow, this is really fun. And back then, it wasn't like, oh, you have to do a $20 million sale. It was like $1 million, $2 million, $3 million. And you were like in New York and you were like doing your luxury products. And I think that from that came another one. And it was just a matter of the friends of this particular commodities trader talking to me after they saw me make him money. They bought for him pre-sale, pre-market, and then we sold for him. So it was like made $400,000, told all of his friends, like, this is what's going on. And they were like, I want in. And, I find that with whatever community you're in, whether it be the Hamptons, New York City, Miami, where I am right now, yay, that's actually real. I feel like we put so many fake backdrops on, and I'm like, that's the ocean, which is like such a blessing right now. But I'm back in New York. It's like the great. So I think that that's what it's going to take. It's someone entrusting you in the community and sending their comrades, friends, bosses, family, etc. And it's that easy. And you should believe that anywhere you go, you could meet that one person that could change your life. Where if you're doing the lower end sales and you're like, I really want to do something bigger and better, really put it in the universe. I'm a huge manifestor. That may sound cheesy to some people, but every single day I wake up, Ryan and I actually talk about it. I said to him, this week I want to focus on 8 to 15 million. And it literally was like out of nowhere. 4 people called me and said, this is like help I need. I was pricing something for 9 million, potentially working on a townhouse that was around 15. And it just literally was, I had to think about. Similarly to like when I met my husband, it's like a weird thing, but like if you're focused, eye on the prize, I think that's helpful.
Well, and somebody asked how is best to start converting when you have rentals to buyers. Like, do you feel like you have any good tips for that from your experience?
So a lot of times I'm asking people like what their buy rate may be in the future. So like if we're renting at the time, I'm always finding out why they're renting. At the To be totally candid, only 10% less of my business is rentals. But let's just say that a renter comes across my plate. I always want to vet them and understand what their situation is in the future.
Mhm.
Never just from finding out, oh, you're renting or you're just. So, number one, why are you renting? Number two, what are you thinking about in a year or two? Or do you need to relocate? Are you renting because you're figuring out which neighborhood you want to be in? And so I think that's very key. And then to actually start that sales conversation, especially if you've been doing all rentals, I think you should potentially offer to help a sales broker in general with a okay. And I love
True.
the idea of being a comrade of a realtor because I think competition and rivalry. That's another thing. Don't get discouraged. Don't feel people are tire kicking. People who are real are real. And you can really try to vet them properly. That can be like a whole different conversation. Kristen and I do another day about like vetting and understanding how to really work with the best buyers and keep your passion ignited. Because sometimes
Mhm.
it can come to you, they can decide later, well, you know what, I'm not going to buy now. And none of us can prevent that from happening.
Like when you have one listing, you finally got your first listing or you finally got a listing at a certain price point, how do you then like make that a tree of other business, which I think is something that, everybody always hopes you do, you finally get your foot in the door in a certain area. What's the best way to take it and turn it into more business?
Okay. So that is an amazing question. And actually, that I would say is one of my strongest skill sets is bringing that additional listing in after we have that listing or bringing in a new fresh buyer who's not necessarily looking for that listing, but then becomes a transaction at another point in time early, into the process. But the more you know about each and every listing, so if it's a house, exactly the acreage, exactly what can be done if you need to convert oil to gas, if you're working with like a pool in the backyard, what the dimensions need to be in the city. Okay, what are the sublease rules? Is there a gift process that will be allowed by the board? Does the board hate trusts if you're in a co-op? So all of these types of things, if you know them well and you come to the table with a lot of knowledge, if a direct buyer walks in, I'm telling you, they will understand not only the bandwidth of like your knowledge base and appreciate you as an asset to them potentially along the way. Because remember, if they came in direct, they don't necessarily like a broker, they don't think you're necessarily an odd value. So you actually have to not actually be either antagonistic, like weird, I don't like a broker and contribute to that. You actually should just be the amazing person you are and show them like your energy and your breath of passion for this particular property.
I love all of that. And I think that this is all super encouraging for people who are really getting into the business and want to take it to the next level. Do you have
As
any like closing points or conversations that you feel like you want to leave everybody off with as like I don't know, either a cliffhanger or, how they can engage with you in the future about what you're doing?
you are so sweet. I've many different fun projects similar to Kirsten, and I'm so blessed that she wanted to have me as her first guest. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm a very big bring women up type of person, and I think that like the moment we can help each other is just like the most beautiful thing we can do, especially thinking of that going into this weekend and just do a little something to make another woman feel great. My cliffhanger is this: stay tuned because some very exciting things are happening and you guys can see some more of me in case you actually are intrigued. There's nothing more valuable than the broker believing in you and knowing you're kind, but that you also mean business and that they've had like a track record with you and communication.
True. You heard it here, everybody. let's be in touch, Amy. And thank you everybody for joining. I think we covered it all, and we're all heading into a fabulous weekend. So enjoy, Amy. Enjoy Miami, and we'll talk soon.